I could make an effort to promote last week's video by saying that this video is related to that one. It's not. But what am I talking about? So last week I made a video talking about how I lost 70 pounds. And I said that one of the main motivations for that was being a K-pop idol. It is like the main driving force in what, made me lose all that weight. So in this video, I thought I'd talk, a bit more about that and just the whole process with that big dream of mine. And just in general, like my whole journey with following my dreams as a little kid. So as a kid, I didn't really know what job I wanted. Like no one really knows what they want to do with their future, which is normal for that age. And I'm talking like elementary school, right? Like I think like if you asked me what I wanted to do when I was like 5, I would have said I wanted to be a Power Ranger or something. But jokes aside, I was a pretty go with the flow kid. Like I was like decent like in school, but I wouldn't really call myself like a hard worker, right? I just kind of did the work and did it pretty well. And I had decent grades in all subjects, math and science especially. And like I would say like like I was good at math, or at least I was like quick at it, which is kind of the same thing when you're younger. If you can do a problem quicker, you're automatically better. This isn't true now, but it was true back then, at least to some extent. I would say school was pretty fun to me. Like I always thought it was fun to learn and take in new knowledge. And yeah, back then it was not a popular opinion to like school. So I often got like made fun of for it almost. Like wow, you actually like school, Brandon? But yeah, my favorite subject was science. I thought it was cool to like mix stuff together. And I had a lot of fun building with Legos, right? This is probably like the beginning of like any form of interest I had in a future path, but I was a kid, so that's just when I was young, right? So math enrichment. This is like a special program for like the math geniuses. You can't see my face cam, but I am putting it in quotes. It felt super important at the time. It's likely the reason why I thought I was good at math, because it felt like such a huge honor. But realistically, it wasn't a big deal. I remember one of our tasks was memorizing pi. Like off the top of my head right now, I forgot a lot of them, right? It's like 3.1415926, and like there's maybe a 3. But this isn't really like math, right? It's like memory. So I'm not fully sure what this program was for, but I guess back then it felt like a big deal. Okay, it's time to talk about the scientist dream. This is like the I guess that works dream, the kind of dream you tell people when you're like a kid and they ask you, like if you're like at a family dinner and like maybe like a not that close relative asks you this question, you would say this, right? Just like a general answer that's kind of works, right? It's not specific, but it definitely was something I was interested in, like science in general. But it was I didn't know like a specific type of science at the time. I also did not know how much math was needed for like this field, but math was easy back then, so it didn't matter. I should talk about the science fair. So the science fair, I'm not sure this is like a well-known thing outside of America, but it is like the yearly science showcase where you get to showcase your science projects. Each year has a different theme or something like that. It was pretty fun, right? 4th graders with a 95 or above average were given the title of engineer, which is like foreshadowing. But before you'd be like, wow, engineer, that sounds so cool. Most of what we did was just fixing broken stuff, like taping stuff back together. But it was still fun for what it's worth. I think the most like dangerous thing I did was like unplug a overheating battery, which is actually pretty dangerous for like a kid to do. But I was 10, so I guess that was a big deal. But no, this was granted, like you were only given the title of engineer if you had a 95 or above average, which is not an easy thing to do. But I remember like I had like a 95.02 average or something like that. Like I was like on the borderline. Like the best way to describe like me as a elementary school student was definitely like in the higher grades kind of people, if that makes any sense. Like I don't mean this in a mean way, but I just mean like my grades were just higher. But I was on the lower end of that, right? So you could call me like the least knowledgeable out of the knowledgeable, if that made any sense. But yeah. So middle school, not particularly helpful in finding my future path. I had good grades, but I didn't really care too much. It's called middle school for a reason, right? Like you're not like doing too much. It's the middle stage, right? Like stuff is just a little bit harder. Science was still fun though. I don't remember what I did too much in middle. Like what I think I took I took like biology and like just general science. I don't remember. Math was still pretty easy. I missed algebra 1. It was so easy. I remember I was one of 2 people to get 100 on a quarterly, right? And I think that there was like out of 80 people, like only 2 people got 100, right? And I was one of them. Like this is obviously not a big like accomplishment looking back, but it felt like a big deal back then. So school was still fun, just less fun. I mean, like it makes sense, right? Like it's just kind of the same thing, but like slightly harder. So it makes sense I would like it a little bit less. Math counts. So this is a program for people who want an extra challenge in math. But unlike math enrichment, it was less of like something you were granted and more like something you went to by choice. So it was a little different. I remember we were given like a large packet with like 1,000 questions. Some were easy, some were okay, but a lot of them were really hard, like high school level. Like it makes me wonder if I went back and did the problems now, if I'd have an okay time doing them. But I can't even guarantee that, right? So this is probably like the thing that made me realize I don't like math that much, because the math becomes hard and all of a sudden it's not fun anymore, right? Like I definitely am the type of person, or was the type of person, who liked math because I was good at it, not because I found it fun, right? Like I personally don't find math that fun most of the time. And I haven't met many people who like math just for math, right? The teacher assigned like 5 pages, and it wasn't actually homework, but it definitely felt like it. So I ended up not going like too much by the end of middle school. It was COVID anyway, which is like a whole separate thing. But for the most part, it just meant that it was gonna end no matter what, right? So the YouTuber dream. It's time to take a break from like the main story. This is actually like a perfect way to segue it, in my opinion, right? Because like the YouTuber dream is not really something that like people in school really like just drop everything to do, right? It's like something that they just do on the side. I feel like even if you had like a 1 subscriber like channel where you uploaded 1 video on, like this is something that everyone's thought about at some point, right? This is like the fun dream, right? The thing you do on the side that just seems fun because you saw someone on like YouTube and you thought I could do that too, right? In my experience, I remember watching like a lot of Pokemon YouTubers in like middle school, and then I thought I could do that myself. There wasn't really a goal here. I wasn't trying to get paid, that's for sure. But I thought it was fun. As time went on, I definitely started more channels. Like I had the Pokemon channel, which is kind of inactive right now, the music channel, which is also kind of inactive right now, and this one, which is still pretty active. So maybe you could subscribe if like you want to, I guess. But I definitely never saw myself doing YouTube as a job, just as a fun side hobby. I feel like no matter where I am at life, YouTube will always be something that's constant, something that I always think is fun to do on the side. Freshman year, it was COVID. Do we all remember that? Like what was it, like 2020? Yeah, like COVID was 5 years ago. It's just kind of scary to think about. So I had a lot of free time, right? School was pretty easy. It was online, so it probably was even easier than middle school in that sense. Like I think I took geometry as my math class, which was fine. Like I think out of all the subjects, I hate like geometry and trigonometry the most because it's like shapes and like weird proofs. But the grades were like a little lower because it's a little harder, but nothing too crazy. I wouldn't really say I accomplished much in this time period. I did gain weight, which I mean, you can watch that video, right? Because that definitely is a segue. But yeah, really not much happened here. Like anything related to being a K-pop idol really did not come up like until like a while. So robotics, build robot is cool. I liked Lego, so this felt like a logical next thing. I remember like my high school had like an online like Zoom call, but like what exactly are you supposed to do with robotics online? So we mostly just use a lot of like 3D modeling software, which was very fun to run while on Zoom. It was fun though, so I thought it could be a future career. So sophomore year, this is probably the first year where school was getting hard. Like at least in my case, like I'm not saying like this is the first time like if you struggled before this, it means like you're like less successful. And just like in my case, it's probably the first year where like I had to try a lot harder. Algebra 2 was starting to get like it was probably the first math subject where like there was a challenge, like a really notable challenge, right? It was like the perfect like line between hard enough that challenging, but also like not overbearingly hard. There was a lot of stuff that didn't make sense, but it's a high school class, so grading was generous. So I definitely got by. School was just not that much fun anymore because like all the classes I taking were like starting to get harder or like more boring or more challenging. But I still had fun where I could, right? I took chemistry, which I thought was cool, so maybe that would work. Like I would say like my opinion on chemistry now is that like chemicals kind of scare me because like you can get injured if you're not careful, and we all know how much I am scared of blood and all that stuff. So I went from like an excelling student to like a okay student, or like a slightly above average student, like maybe like a 90 average, which is still like very good, but it's like definitely a slight decrease, right? I would say like the main fun things in my life were the YouTube channel. Like I think at that time my Pokemon channel was starting to grow a bit, so I guess like who knows, maybe that's a video in the future just talking about my Pokemon channel. I don't know. Robotics again. So for context, I did transfer to another high school. It doesn't really matter that much for like other things, but in this case, I just figured I pointed out. So I had to reapply for robotics. It was in person this time, and I thought like, hey, building robots sounds fun, but I actually got rejected. Like I remember the robotics group that I applied for didn't have many spots to begin with, so like me getting in wasn't that easy. But it did kind of suck to get rejected because like I wasn't really sure what to do, right? Like it was my passion after all, and I was starting to question whether I was good enough for it, right? But of course, it was only a one-time rejection, and it wasn't really a big deal at that point. Junior year, it was a very messy year in terms of grades. Computer science it bugs me. I remember that I got I may have gotten a 12 on a test. Like the teacher said that someone got a 12 on a test, but I never checked the paper, so you can't confirm it was me. But like it probably was me. Pre-calc was like much harder than algebra 2. Like I think there's like what we call like algebra 3 because it's like all of the algebra you need for calculus or something like that. But it was still hard. But I had a pretty chill teacher, so like I got by with like a 90 average or something. Physics to me was more interesting than chemistry, and also it just felt like a lot more like safe to me. So I did prefer that. That would end up aging pretty badly because like I kind of hate physics right now, but that's a separate thing. School could still be fun, but only in classes where I participated a lot and knew what I was doing, which was starting like, and the amount of those classes was starting to decrease a lot, right? Like physics, I remember I participated a decent chunk, and like history, I guess. But yeah, this is also the start of my weight loss journey, which this is where you see like the timeline starts to like connect a little bit. And I got rejected from robotics again, or at least that's like kind of what probably would have happened, but actually Science Olympiad. So I remember when I was trying to apply for robotics again, I was approached by like some people from like Science Olympiad. It's like some sort of like science club similar to robotics, but they're operated a little more casually is the best way to describe it. I remember like they put like their flyer over a robotics flyer. So it's clear that there was some beef in between like the two. And I was promised guaranteed admission if I joined them, right? They thought, oh, we're better than robotics because we accept everyone. Turns out they were lying to me because they didn't, I still got rejected or kicked out, or whatever you want to say. I took an admissions test and I freaking bombed it. When they say they accept everyone, they really just like accepted everyone for like an orientation and kicked everyone else who didn't do well enough on a test, right? So getting a low grade on this like admissions test didn't feel good for my ego because you gotta think about it, right? Like these people are the same age as me in this club and I'm being given a test by them and I did bad on it, but they probably did well on it. So it didn't feel great for my ego, right? Like think about it, my future job, and I got rejected from 2 clubs that my job is related to. Like it definitely didn't feel great, but I still wasn't worried too much because at the end of the day, I was still like a junior. So senior year, I figured I could take electrical engineering. Unlike a club, they won't they won't kick me out, or like at least they will let me in, right? Because like you know, I think the only way that I couldn't have taken electrical engineering is if I had a low grade, but we were still decent with the grades, so they let me into the class. It was fun, mostly building and minimal coding, no calculus at all, which was my favorite, and it was a lot of fun. I would say it's probably the most fun I had in senior year. I started taking AP Calculus, which was a nightmare. I needed a lot of tutoring for that. Like I recall, like I had like a free period after calculus class, so my calculus teacher would like tell me to like just like go to her office after every free period, which sounds like a lot, and definitely didn't feel great. Like, but you know, it definitely benefited me. But yeah, so robotics did not accept seniors, so I just couldn't apply, and I didn't really feel comfortable going back to Science Olympiad after they straight up lied to me. So I just didn't want to go back, right? I started to hate math a lot, like I think many engineers now. I caught senioritis, which is just like a dramatic way of saying that after you get into college, you typically just get lazy and don't care about much because like the grades you're getting don't apply to anything. So I wasn't really thinking too much about my future. So the engineer dream, this is like the realistic dream, like AKA the job that's like more specific. And I figured, okay, well, I do like physics, at least at that time I did. I like building, and I thought, okay, that sounds fun. That sounds like a reasonable thing. Like I think I figured it out, my life path, right? This does involve college though. But it's time for part 2 of senior year. Like senior year was definitely a big shift in my mentality for a lot of things. It was like the shift in mentality for like losing weight, but it was also like the shift in mentality for like what I wanted to do. Learning just was not fun. Like I don't think I had fun in class anymore, except engineering. And I realized that a lot of what made school fun was the fact that I got to discuss and participate in class, which just wasn't as common in like harder classes. Like it's like with AP calculus, it's like you can't really ask a question or like talk because you don't really know what to ask, right? Like when the material is so hard, you don't even know what question to ask. Participating meant talking and like making jokes, but not every class just has that environment, right? So without that, school was just getting boring. So I was looking for something to do. So I figured it'd be fun to be an entertainer. So it's time for the part where everything connects, right? The K-pop idol dream. This is like the impossible dream everything has. Like, you know how like colleges have like the safety college, the dream college, and like the target college? This is like the dream, if that makes any sense. So this is like the best of the best, right? This is like you have to be the best of the best. This isn't just like, this is like even more than just getting a job in your field. This is like the top 1% of like performing people. So this is like the main motivation to lose 70 pounds. Like I think I talked about this in the last video, but if it weren't for this dream, I probably would have like only lost like 30. I say only, like that's like a little bit, but like I would have lost a lot less, what I'm trying to say. I like to talk and make jokes and entertain people, and I did like music as well, so I thought it could work, but in reality, I couldn't sing well, and I definitely couldn't dance, or like make music, or speak Korean, but I did like writing words, which is why this channel exists in the first place. Dancing, so I couldn't and still can't dance. I think I was born with like crooked feet or something, like I don't, like, it's something like that, so like, you know, and I remember I subscribed to like a dancing class, and it definitely wasn't the best use of money because I barely used it. And I definitely did not try hard enough. But you got to understand, the main school was the main focus was school and losing weight. And I thought like at the end of the day, maybe losing weight would help me become a better dancer, which does have some truth to it. Singing. I don't exactly know how to improve in singing. I just practiced by singing the same thing over and over. It might have helped, but it was really cringe to do. And I didn't want to disturb my neighbors. Funny story about this. So I was worried about disturbing my neighbors, but it turns out my own family could hear me, which was definitely really embarrassing. But you know, okay, Duolingo. Yeah, I got tormented by that owl. I'm pretty sure the owl is like AI generated now, but I'm not really caught up on the lore. I tried to learn Korean. I guess it went okay. Like I eventually did stop because I just stopped caring. But like for a good month, I was ready. I still remember like a few phrases, but you know, that happened. So this is just a summation. So I wasn't really sure how to improve my music skills. Dancing was a train wreck, and it really is hard to improve in like a lot of these things. This includes school. And I knew that at the very least I could lose weight, so I kept going with that, right? Like you have to think about it, right? Like with losing weight, like when you lose a pound, there really isn't a way to lose a pound worse, right? Like I guess you could argue that like by eating healthier foods, you can lose a pound better, but for at the end of the day, minus 1 pound is minus 1 pound, right? So it's pretty like analog, if that makes any sense. It's really just a number, right? But with like improving your musical skills, right? It's kind of like it's like anyone can really sing or dance, but it takes a long time to master it and become better in that. So it just feels a little different because it's not like quantifiable. You can't just say like, oh, I increased in 5 music score, right? Like that's not how that works. So it definitely felt a lot easier to lose weight, and I figured that at the very least I would be achieving or getting closer to my dream if I just kept losing weight. So I just kept going with that. Like it is kind of like the main psychology of why I lost so much weight, because it felt like the most I could accomplish, right? So the realization. So I was graduating soon. My life was definitely on a path to go to college, even if I wasn't fully ready to accept that. And I started to let go of the K-pop idol dream and just accept the path I was on. I wouldn't say I was particularly unhappy about it, just like empty or just not fully thinking about it. And I entered college with that exact mentality, which was not great. I got absolutely cooked in grades. Like the stuff was so hard, it had me questioning life. Like, you know when you take a test and you walk out and you just appreciate trees? Yeah, that's like every test. Calculus was terrible and felt unfair. It was even harder for me because I think American calculus is generally easier than like East Asian calculus. And I never really took school seriously, which is also contributed to that. Like this is obviously my fault. I'm not blaming anyone for this, but it just definitely made things worse, right? So I went from not needing to study too much to having to study way too much. And like, it definitely was not like a fun shift. I definitely was not happy about it. And like my whole life, I didn't really have a goal in school, right? Really the goal of like elementary, middle, and high school is just to graduate, right? So, but besides that, right, there really isn't much else. And that kind of really bite me in the butt in college because besides graduating, like the goal in college is to figure out what you want to do for your job. So it felt weird because it felt like I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So yeah, I kind of hated it, but I accepted that like most people like go to college and it's not always going to be fun, but this is the path a lot of people go on. And it's like the expected, the expected path for a lot of people, right? So college is the second semester. It's in the second semester. I took easier classes for the sake of my sanity, but it was like really boring. And I realized that like for me, college so far had either been so hard it's sad or so boring it's sad. And I wasn't really like there wasn't really a balance I could find for the most part. So I started questioning a lot about like what exactly I was doing. Like if I'm not having fun and I'm not like doing well, like what exactly am I doing, right? So I started to think a lot about like the K-pop idol dream again, right? I thought about like, well, maybe that is what I prefer to do, right? But at the end of the day, the reality was that I can't dance or sing well. I can't speak Korean, and I was 19, which is a bit on the older side to start that whole thing. And I had to accept that my life just wasn't going to be like that, right? Like realistically speaking, it doesn't make sense. Like being a K-pop idol is an extremely unrealistic thing. Think about it. Like you basically need to like drop your studies at like before you go to college and like take high school. You finish high school, but like you finish high school like really weirdly, and then you just don't go to college, like, and like you just like commit your whole life to a industry that's not guaranteed. Like being a celebrity isn't guaranteed. That makes no sense in the real life. Like thinking realistically in the context of my own life, it's not realistic, right? But engineering was still fun to me. It's just like the process to get there just was not fun up to that point. So I just ended the first year like of my college just like not really sure what I was doing. So but the change in perspective happened when I just took some time to think about my life over the summer and just thought about like what exactly I wanted to do. And I thought about like what the most realistic scenario was, like not the dream scenario, because like reality is not often what you want it to be. But I figured that I could still be like fulfilled if I just thought about what made the most sense, right? So I figured that I may not love school, at least at the moment, but engineering is still the subject that I would like to have a job in the most. So I figured getting a job in that would be best, and I could still be a performer just at a smaller scale. Okay, now it's time to talk about the student performer dream. This is like the practical dream. This is the dream that like makes sense in my life, right? The idea was that I would improve my studies, do that, and then also improve my music skills at the same time, right? Improving my studies meant I had to work harder in school, and I thought, okay, well, if I can develop a good work ethic, then I can get good grades, and then I feel more fulfilled, and hopefully that mentality would apply to everything I do in my life, right? And hopefully I can get this degree eventually, right? But K-pop idol 2, I think it's fair to say like the term K-pop idol is simply there to represent the dream, but at the end of the day, what it really is just being a performer, but at a much smaller scale, right? Being a performer on my own terms. I've really had to ask myself if I wanted to be a K-pop idol. I don't know if I'd want to because it's a very stressful industry, but I know I want to be a performer in some way. And it's pretty clear I do like creative writing, so maybe I could try making my own music. I guess the best case scenario is that I blow up on YouTube. I don't know. It's still not easy. It's kind of hard to improve at something when your environment isn't really surrounded by people who like music. Like I'm in a science major, so it's not like I'm surrounded by people who do that kind of stuff. So it's not always easy to improve in something you don't know how to improve in. So it'll always be a struggle, but any improvement is an improvement step by step. And obviously following your dreams is not supposed to be easy. So the takeaway from this video, this is mostly just me ranting about my dreams and just letting some emotions out. But if you were to take something away from this video, it'd just be like, big dreams are definitely cool, but they have to be realistic, right? I think there is definitely some logic to the idea that like there is a limit to someone's dreams in the context of their own life. It doesn't mean you can't achieve big things. It doesn't mean that you can't do great things with your life. It just means that you have to think about what makes the most sense in your own life, but still makes you happy, right? So school isn't always going to be easy, and it's definitely going to suck a lot. But as long as there's a goal and like you are satisfied with that goal, you can feel like fulfilled, right? It just means that you just don't want to be like unsure of what you're doing all the time. So it's always good to have like small goals each day, and when you achieve them, they'll add up and become like a big thing, right? Like what's the thing they say? Like you underestimate what can be done in a year, but you overestimate what can be done in a day. So just small goals day by day add up to like a big result. Like I'm not fully sure in this. Like this isn't me saying like, oh, this is guaranteed to work. This is me saying that it could work and that I want to try it out myself, right? Like I am on this journey just starting out, but I think I can achieve my dream if I just take it step by step. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Bye.